I feel like stress is temporary, where burnout is chronic. Like stress, you can take a day. Like it just requires a break, where burnout requires like recovery. So huge sense.
Okay, Chat GPT.
What's up, Peaches?
Welcome back to another episode of Growing Into It, a podcast about learning life as we live it. Today's episode is a good one because I think burnout is something almost everyone has experienced at some point, especially when you get into like later 20s, early 30s, when it feels like you're trying to build a life, maintain relationships, grow your career, take care of yourself, and somehow have energy left over for miscellaneous.
Yeah, so today we are excited because we have our first ever guest joining us. She's someone who has seen many different sides of the healthcare system through both her career and personal life. She currently works at a family doctor's office handling specialist referrals and previously worked in client service roles at both a fertility clinic and a medical imaging clinic. On top of that, her husband works as a paramedic. So together they've experienced multiple perspectives of healthcare and the emotional toll that can come with it. She's 30 years old, a proud dog and cat mom, one of the sweetest humans we know, and someone who brings such a thoughtful perspective to conversations around stress, burnout, and balance. She actually started as my friend first, but quickly became a close friend of Ellen's as well. So Peaches, please welcome Emily Graham.
Woo!
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us. We obviously have talked about how we attempted a burnout episode and failed miserably. Yes, we've experienced a lot of stress, compassion, fatigue, but we've talked to you a little bit on the side about your experience, and we think you can bring some really good perspective to this episode. So thanks for helping us out.
I'm really good at burnout. So
You're really good at burning out.
I am excited. Yeah, we did the episode and you were editing it and you're like, it's not it. And even when we were recording we knew like it was not it. And we're like, we need someone else. Yeah. We need a third party to help us because we suck at this at our own. So
yeah, it was just not something we were, I don't know, comfortable talking about, or
yeah, I don't know. I feel like we just couldn't like get our point across. And I do think too, we have experienced stress and burnout to a certain degree, but I really don't think that we've been burnt out in the experience that you've had. And I think like with your husband too, you both have really good perspectives because you're both in human healthcare and have really struggled with burnout.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say like you're both in the same industry.
Yes.
So your burnout is like your experiences with burnout are so similar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also so niche that most people don't necessarily like they can relate with it, but not to the degree that is like.
Yeah. And I think for me too, when I experience burnout, it is really easy for me to find another clinic. Like it's really easy once I'm like, I'm not happy here. I've never struggled to find another opportunity because there are so many clinics looking for techs. So that's something too where I never really wound up in a role long term that I felt very burnt out in because I had so many opportunities, which isn't always the experience for other people.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Our first question that we always like to ask people is, what did you want to be when you grow up?
Oh, that's such a great question. So like there was a period of time where I was like absolutely going to be a veterinarian because that's
everyone has
such
that
an
moment.
Accessible career. Yeah.
I feel like it's that and marine biologist.
Yeah.
Like if you're not a veterinarian.
Doctor. Yeah.
See, I knew there were going to be too many marine biologists based on my peers. So I said I need to get into something a little more lucrative.
Vibes.
When Grey's Anatomy was big, I was going to be a surgeon.
Brave.
Yeah. And then there was a period of time where I was like, I could be a paramedic. And then I was like, I can't. Then I think when I thought that I would be a police officer was when I started thinking I should stop trying to plan so far ahead because I don't want to be that.
Nothing was hitting.
No. So I like my little desk job where I do the little rodent tasks of just like typing on my little computer.
So what do you do now?
So I handle referrals in a doctor's office. So I work under 6 doctors and a nurse practitioner.
Christ.
And every time they send a referral to any kind of specialist, I track it. I make sure that it's received and that the appointment gets booked within the wait time, or I find out how much longer we're waiting for the patient.
So like admin type roles. So like
Yeah.
you said, just those more simple, like desk kind of roles. I say simple,
But you
but
stay within like the medical field.
Yeah. And like, no, absolutely simple. Like it's one thing that I have to do. It's so like concrete, but it's also important. And like,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
I love being that gear that can turn the machine, but I do not want to be the crank that is
Totally.
making those gears turn. Like,
Yeah.
And
Love.
it's important for people in your role to want to be doing
Yeah.
what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
Because you have encountered like receptionists at doctors' offices that couldn't give a single shit about the air you breathe at all. You know, there's a lot of cranky admin people out there. So having someone where you get to talk to them and they actually are like, let me get that answer for you. Let me figure it out. Like actually cares about getting your answer is, in my opinion, a huge benefit to have. It feels like
Yes.
shit to not be taken seriously about your health concerns.
right? And like, especially like when this is what our taxes are paying for, and you're like, okay,
Fuck me, right?
right? Yeah.
I'm actually not using the system in any other way. So if I could just like go see my gynecologist, that would be really cool.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
like, I'm sorry, we don't need to wait 2 years for an IUD. Like, come on.
We can do this.
They're gonna get pregnant in the meantime. Like,
So we've got a lot of topics to cover today. So let's grow into it.
I think people use the word burnout for everything now. But burnout and stress are actually very different.
Absolutely.
So for me, in my experience, I think a lot of my experience has been stress related, but I have had like, I don't think I've been to the point where I'm 100% burnt out. Usually a personal day does me wonders, and that will be enough to like refresh me, or a vacation or something. Like I haven't had to take time off. I haven't had to like, I don't think I've been fully burnt out, but I can definitely remember a time where, especially like COVID, and we're essential workers and we were really low staff. And I just remember one meeting where it was me, another technician, and all the doctors, and we were the only 2 technicians. And the one technician just got back from vacation, and I was just about to go on vacation, but for that week I was the only tech. And she's just like the other technician was just sitting up and listening to the meeting, and I'm like this. And then the doctor's like, well, you can really tell like who's like was on vacation and who wasn't on vacation. And I'm just like, yeah.
I'm dying.
Yeah, just like fucking send me.
Yeah.
thanks.
I think there is very much like a blurred line between stress and burnout now. Like I kind of feel like they are meshing to be the same thing.
Yeah.
But you're right. Stress in your job is very different than actual full-blown burnout in your job.
I feel like stress is temporary, where
Yes.
burnout is chronic. Like stress, you can take a day. Like it just requires a break, where burnout requires like recovery. So huge stress.
Okay, Chat GPT.
Literally, god
My data
damn.
center's really hot.
Holy shit.
Her data center is on fire. Someone get the hose.
Okay.
that was really
well, that
good.
was perfect.
You said you haven't really experienced burnout. You more so have experienced like short facets of stress. But for burnout, I guess I can ask you this. What does that look like to you physically or emotionally?
A lot. I find when I am either crossing that line into burnout, or I've already plummeted off the cliff, waking up is like the second I open my eyes, it's just like doom hits, like a crushing feeling of like adult responsibilities. And it's like, I have to go to this place that I am absolutely loathing.
Oh my God.
Because if I don't, I won't be able to afford the roof over my head or the food
Right.
on my table. So like when I was in the middle of burnout, I was crying all the time. Like I would wake up and the second that I was conscious, it was just like, oh my God, there's too much going on. I am so overwhelmed.
There's
I
no
can't-
break.
I can't do this.
It's never off.
Yes. And even my days off, it was like I was sleeping the entire day. And
When you're awake, you're dreading the next day, the
Yeah.
next time you have to go in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't even take a step back. You're just in that mindset 24/7.
and
All waking
no
hours.
amount of rest is restful. Like you don't wake up feeling refreshed by any means, because it's like
It's just enough for your body to like keep going.
It's not a good life to just be on autopilot 24/7. That's not fair to the people around you, whether it's friends, family, partner, and it's especially not fair to yourself.
Yeah.
Have you experienced burnout multiple times?
Yes. But the burnout I experienced when I was like a youth was very different from the burnout I experienced as an adult, because the weight of responsibilities doesn't apply when you're young. Like your parents take care of everything. Like your food is cooked, dinners are made, like laundry is done. But as an adult, nobody's there to do those things for you. Like you have to keep up in your personal life and in your work life, and also still try to find room to breathe.
So it just exaggerates all the feelings of burnout that you actually have. So with you experiencing the heavier burnout later on, do you look back and think like, oh, I wasn't burnt out then? But do you truly just think burnout younger was different than burnout older?
When I'm thinking back to being burnt out as a youth, it was when I was doing sports. Like I was doing synchronized swimming, which was 13 hours a week, as well as school. And like that was my life. Like I really wanted to pursue that. And then
And then like were you competitive?
Yes.
So competitions on weekends.
Yeah.
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 So it's really like there is no break.
No.
No.
But then when I realized that I probably wasn't going further than the nationals that I had done, like I'm not going to the Olympics. I'm not gonna. It was like, well, what the hell is my purpose even then?
Yeah,
Like,
this
what do
isn't
you-
my future.
What do you mean this was all I was gonna do? So now what? I just don't exist. Like, fuck. Like
That's a hard
Yeah.
thing to go through too. And I mean, yeah, that's with anyone who plays like higher league hockey, football, rugby, whatever it is. They kind of live their childhood life like throughout high school being like, this is what I have to do. This is my thing.
It's also purpose and fulfillment almost too early.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
that is your life. And then you like I had a similar experience. I was riding competitively young. Not the highest type of competition, but then when I wasn't competing, I was always at the barn. I worked at the barn.
Yeah.
Like I was at that was my life. And then at one point I had to hit I'm not doing this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And that's when you have that much purpose and then you realize that like you have to find something else, you're like, well,
Yeah, and then you have to find a career.
I've been
You have to make a
focusing
life
so much on
decision.
this. So what the hell?
yeah, know that point of like purpose and drive like so early is like such a good point, because once that is over, you're trying to fill those gaps, which like were really big gaps. That's a lot of time and a lot of energy that we were spending on these things that we cared so much about. So what do I replace that with? And then I just like I overloaded myself. I was trying to join all these clubs. I was trying to do all these sports, and like my sense of control over my life just felt like it was so out of reach, because how do you go from that to nothing?
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think too, it also crosses that line into when you're then living on your own or living in like a college dorm or whatever else. And then those responsibilities, like you talked about earlier, come into play too. So that time that you used to have allotted to all these activities and things you enjoyed are now more so allotted to laundry and groceries and food prep and everything else.
in the same sense of like I was crying all the time, I felt like I was that kid that was like holding the bars of the bed, like screaming and kicking with the mom, like, but I'm both the kid and the mom.
Oh my God.
So it's like, no,
Such
you
a good
cannot
analogy.
make me go to school, but it's also, you have to fucking go to school.
Yeah, so it's like internally battling yourself in that moment.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds awful.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The other thing is just like feeling physically frozen at all times. Like I cannot make a decision. Like I cannot decide what I want to eat. I cannot decide if I'm even hungry. Like what all of these things that I have choice over, but I don't even have the energy to make a choice. Like I just don't care. Like it's autopilot or it's nothing.
Yeah, even like the smallest choices and the smallest tasks seem impossible to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's tough. The more I thought about it after we recorded our first burnout episode, I think that's what made me realize that I don't think I have truly experienced like deep burnout. I don't think I've ever gotten to the stage that you've been in. I do think I've been stressed. I've been unhappy. I've been unfulfilled in my roles, but I don't think it's to the point where like I wake up every morning like dreading and not being able to physically do the things I want to do. I think I still did have somewhat of a balance. I think more so like the things I struggled with in my job was just not being happy with how I was
more
there.
like, what am I doing here?
Yes. And I think that's what I struggle with and with a lot of facets of my life is I'm just like, what am I doing? Is this the right thing? Does it make sense for 5 years from now? Like I feel like I'm trying to think like 5 steps ahead.
Yeah.
And then I get in my head that way and then I cycle and I kind of spin out of control being like, well, why am I wasting my time here if I'm not going to grow and develop? I'm going to find something else that makes more sense for what I want for my future. So I think it was stress. It wasn't really full-blown burnout, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that is such a normal, it's such a normal stress to have too,
Yeah.
because like, yeah, you have your whole life in front of you. Like you're young. And
Yeah. Although you did mention when I had left my last job, you and Charlie both had been like, you seem like a different person now. Like you seem more relaxed, more at ease. You're happier when you talk about work now. So I do still think there was a small degree, but
well, stress does that to you as well. Like the effects of stress and burnout are so similar. It's just, again, like, is this temporary or is this like a chronic, long lasting thing?
And I think the fact that I was able to jump from my stressful job to a new job without needing like a mental break in between and being able to come back and be myself again was an indicator that I was more so stressed than burnt out.
You can also just be like done with the situation. Like you can still be in a situation, not burnt out, but also stress and just like, I don't have the effort to put into this, but it's not to the point where I'm physically and mentally like kaput.
A matter of like,
You're just this is not for me anymore. And I just don't care about this.
like, I need to put myself in a position where I can have that peace and not have to give it away. Whereas, yeah, my burnout was, this is costing me my life. Like, I don't have a life outside of this.
At what point did you realize this has extended beyond stress?
That's a great question.
Like, it sounds like you got to a really far point, and I'm sure you were beyond that point before that point when you realized it, but then it's trying to like save yourself and try to get out but still have a job.
Yeah.
But like, I'm sure at one point it was just, this is way more than, I'm not just stressed here.
Yeah. I think it was when I realized that I had lost my hope. When I started the job, I knew that there was a lot of broken pieces, and I knew that the job was too much for me as one person. Like, I was the only receptionist. They had 2 separate units in the building. So I was constantly running back and forth and having to deal with building management, or like, I'm not a manager. I shouldn't have to make these decisions for you. And like, having to maintain an 80% call answer rate while also answering all of the questions that the patients who are in and out are having, like scheduling all of this stuff. And I was advocating to upper management saying, this is unsustainable. This is way too much for one person. And at first it sounded like they were listening. So they brought more people to the team.
Yeah.
They like implemented these, what looked like
Good
were
protocols.
going to be good changes, but it was just for show to say, oh yeah, we care about you. We hear you. We're going to make this better for you. And so that, and it was more so like, we're just going to make it look like we're doing something.
Yeah,
so
it's
that
optics.
we can brush it off. Exactly.
They're not following through with it.
And so it was when I realized that this was not getting better. And like my advocation was actually like costing me more energy than it was.
Because that's
Bringing me
draining
back.
too. Constantly trying to advocate for yourself and your other coworkers who feel in the same position as you, and it constantly go nowhere is exhausting and draining. It's not fair.
Yeah, especially when you're kind of like at the bottom of the totem pole, but you're also seeing the entire operation. So you're like, hey, like, I know that A, B, and C is broken. And if we can just do this, like that will fix this, which will lead to this being fixed. And then like the solutions are so easy and they're there, but it's a matter of caring enough to put them in place.
And I think financially, there is a huge aspect when it comes to burnout and stress, because if you're in a role where you are low level, but you're doing the work of upper management, but then you're barely being paid what's considered a living wage in our area, that is also going to contribute to your stress and burnout so much, because why the fuck am I putting all of my time and energy into this to make like $21 an hour?
Right. And it's like, I could be doing exactly this somewhere else for $10 more an hour, or I could be doing what I should actually be doing for this amount of pay and then actually have a life outside of this. And
Exactly.
be able to do things for myself and care for myself, because like at the end of the day, that costs money too. And your time is money. Like,
Yeah.
Especially in the economy now. Everything is so expensive. Rent, groceries, gas is all so expensive. So when you're burning yourself out to barely, you know, survive paycheck to paycheck, that's not going to serve you long term, and that's not somewhere you can stay.
no.
With your burnout, did you get to a point where your body kind of basically forced you to stop? Did you have like a lapse between jobs? Like, what did that look like for you?
Both. My body was just like done. Like I was not able to, like I was dragging myself around, it felt like. And it was at the point where patients were noticing as well. They would come in and I would have tears welled in my eyes that I could not get rid of. And they would be like, oh my God, are you okay? It's like, oh yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm good. Just maintaining that like good patient care composure. But there were a few times where patients walked in and I was just sobbing. And I had one patient come in and she was like, oh my God, can I give you a hug? I was crumbling and there was not much keeping me together. And then I ended up actually having to take time off work. I had to go to the doctor and say, like, I can't physically do, like, I cannot do this.
Was that the stage of when you got Goose?
No, I lost my job because I was working somewhere that, like, wasn't really appreciative of myself or the other admin, and things were crumbling from upper management, and so it just trickled down. And so there was a period of time where like I could not find a job, and like healthcare admin is like they're always hiring, so there was no reason why I shouldn't have been able to like find something. But I had applied to over 120 jobs and the only place I could get hired was HomeSense. So like having to sell home goods to the people I went to high school with because that's all I could find. And like my body is not built good. I cannot stand like for even 5 minutes. I'm the one who's leaning against shit. I'm the one who's like compensating in other ways. So having to stand behind the till, like I was literally, if I had to go out of the house for longer periods of time, I had to bring a walker. And so at that point, I thought that I was burnt out, but I was just exhausted. That's when we got Goose, because Charlie was like when I was facing this, and when I was in the depths of despair that you're in, like, fostering a dog really helped, because if you can't get out of bed for yourself, you can get out of bed for this creature that needs you. And so it was like, that was the best thing that ever happened to us. Like, that was the best thing we could have done in that moment at any point in time. But it was actually the job that burnt me out that I thought was going to be the light at the end of the tunnel. And it was actually just like strapping weights to my feet and jumping in the ocean.
Mini fact for you guys. Burnout is now recognized by the World Health Organization as an occupational phenomenon linked to chronic unmanaged workplace stress.
But I do think it's important to acknowledge the fact that sometimes exhaustion isn't laziness. It's not you wanting to do nothing and lay around on the couch. Sometimes it genuinely is your body and your mind asking you for recovery and getting to a point where it may have to force you into that recovery.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like we grew up in this culture where being busy very much became like a personality trait to people.
And that is me. I am her. It's like a toxic relationship that my family and my friends have told me to leave, but I just can't. So this is hustle culture. It is described as glorifying relentless work, viewing constant productivity as the ultimate measure of self-worth. Psychologically, it is driven by external validation, fear of failure, and the illusion of control, which I have mentioned several times on this podcast that I have too much of a want of control of everything in my life. And it is often leading to chronic stress, identity suppression, and eventual burnout. When I was doing some research on hustle culture, there was a few articles. So I read an article on Forbes, and it had like,
Ooh.
oh, I know.
Whoa, she's reading
Okay.
Forbes.
Investigative journalism.
Literally.
So they briefly talked about the history of hustle culture. And so apparently it began in the 90s to early 2000s, which makes sense because we did grow up amidst,
among, around, amidst.
Amidst.
Amidst?
Amish?
Ahmed?
AMIDST. Amidst.
This is like me with
Anyway,
autonomy last week. Autonomy? Autonomy? Autonomy?
So yeah, but that does describe why it's so normalized by our generation, because we saw, I think every type of commercial, every show, everything was kind of like go, go, go. And I think it also came along with like Elon Musk and all of them being like, people working like a 40-hour week don't get anything done.
Well, I
or
think
aren't
that's
successful.
the hard thing, is it very much made this mentality of, if you're not working from 4 a.m. until 10 p.m., you're a lazy piece of shit. You're never going to accomplish anything. You're going to be living this boring, monotonous life, and you're not going to go anywhere. Like, that is what this hustle culture has bred.
Most people nowadays are like 2 paychecks away from homelessness. So like, you cannot not hustle.
Does make sense.
Because your survival depends on it. So like, yeah, take the overtime, like start selling shit online, because otherwise, like,
Your rent's due, bitch. We talk to our parents or older generations about our financial struggles, and they don't really fully understand, and they kind of come at us with like, oh, well, just, you're spending too much money on frivolous things. Like, don't go out for coffee. Don't go get your nails done. Oh, I used to get all my clothes from the thrift store, da, da, da. And I think some of it has weight and some of it is valid. But I think also everything is so much more expensive. Like, it's not even oranges to apples. It's like oranges to fucking pumpkins. Like, it's such a different world. And I think also in order to like save our mental energy and our happiness, I kind of want to go get the latte.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
you deserve to get the latte. I'm not saying go get a $14 latte and breakfast sandwich every single morning, but like, we deserve to splurge on things.
Or you don't have the energy to make the coffee or like the time or what have
Want to
you.
get sleep in.
Yeah.
Because you're fucking stressed or burnt out.
And your body needs sleep.
You wake, like, I know there was a point in my last job where I was waking up like 10 minutes before my shift started because I was just so exhausted and I didn't want to go. And then I would sprint out and I would run to the Tim Hortons and grab a coffee and typically be like 3 to 5 minutes late to work because I just physically could not get up and have that time to make myself breakfast and sit down and like prepare for my day, which that was a really bad cycle that is really hard to break.
Well, every minute counts.
What's something that you used to consider lazy, but you now see differently?
Myself.
Love that. You're like, myself entirely.
We're like, was there another answer?
Yeah. What the fuck else?
As a kid, like, I mean, when I wasn't playing sports, like, I was just like lying on the couch, what everybody else would see as chilling, but like really conserving my energy because like I don't really have much of it and I'm already like it's allotted to things already. So my parents very much saw me as being lazy because I would be like avoiding certain household tasks or like I didn't want to go and do the thing that the family was all doing together because it was too much for the capacity that I had. And then growing up and becoming an adult and having to navigate the healthcare system from the lens of chronic illness, we realized that my body is just exhausted all the time and I have much less of a reserve than most people do. So my energy conservation was a necessity. It wasn't just like luxuriously hanging and chilling out.
It's like your body had hormonal imbalances and other problems going on that didn't let you have the same energy as someone else would.
Well, like my connective tissue, like I have Ehlers-Danlos, which I was only officially diagnosed with like a few months ago.
What is that?
It's a connective tissue disorder.
Oh, I've never heard of that.
It's like hypermobility spectrum kind of like falls into it, but Ehlers-Danlos is like more on the severe side of hypermobility.
They just be doing too much?
So like, I mean, I could still do the splits if I wanted to right now. Like I bend in all sorts of ways that like a body shouldn't bend.
Lucky Charlie.
Like, ooh, we're sharing.
So like when the doctor was describing it to my parents and my mom was like, oh my God, you're describing my daughter right now. Like, and I think that was the moment when it clicked and it's like, oh my God, all of these things that,
This is recent. So like everyone is like, connecting these dots.
That makes sense. Like we knew that I probably had this. Like we've been fighting for this diagnosis for a long time, but it's a matter of which specialist is actually like able to label you with it
and has the patience and the
compassion,
that helps. Understanding to say, you're telling me this isn't normal, so I'll listen instead of, no, it's normal.
Well, not only that, but also like, oh, well, that's on TikTok right now. So like everybody just thinks they have that. It's like, oh, TikTok disease.
You've been doom scrolling too far. You've self-diagnosed yourself.
Right. And it's like, there's such a, like, there's this huge Venn diagram of all of these conditions that overlap. Like, ADHD, autism are like all in there. Mast cell activation. So like where your body flares up with histamines just for no reason at all. And so of course people online are connecting the dots to be like, hey, if you experience this, this, and this, like you're not crazy for also experiencing this. And doctors are like, well, you're
Okay,
just falling into
But
that trap.
They're creating this culture, though. We are waiting so long to get seen, and also as women, be taken seriously when we have these
not
issues.
gaslit when we get in.
Exactly.
It's called advocating for yourself.
Yeah,
Right?
we have to do the research. We have to come in prepared, or else we get dicked around for months and get no answer. So we need to come in guns a-blazing with research done, and then we still get invalidated because we're TikTok scrolling.
Yeah.
But at least there must be like a liberating feeling of knowing that you have a diagnosis and you have an explanation for why you can't keep up in some ways that other people might not be able to.
Exactly.
It might not immediately make a difference, but having a diagnosis makes a difference.
Yes.
The validation alone is, I think, I don't know if I said it to her or if it was just a conversation that after the fact, but it's like, no, this changes everything because now I don't have to push myself for no reason other than that I should be able to do this. Or like I can go to physio and be like, yeah, I have this condition. And so then they're going to look at how to treat me differently
Correct.
because it's different care that I need.
Yeah. And then it's also because you might see so many specialists or professionals in different aspects, instead of you not having a diagnosis and they kind of go off being like, oh, well, I think it's this. And someone else is like, I think it's this. So I'm going to treat it like this. And I'm going to treat it like this, where they're all treating the same thing and they don't even know it and they're not treating it properly.
So again, you have to be prepared and have the information to give to these specialists. Otherwise, you're not getting your full picture answer.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, on a less intense note, something that I used to consider lazy that I now see differently are hobbies that aren't actually productive. I think I always used it's a thing.
Dude, that's my whole life.
Yeah. It's like I struggled so hard to take 2 hours on a Sunday to just read a book that I really wanted to read because I'm like, that's not actually productive. I'm not achieving something. I'm not cleaning my home. I'm not working out. But I now understand, like, no, I can take that time. It's good for my mental health. It helps me relax. I mean, reading is also good for your cognitive health. So, like, it technically is beneficial. It's just not labeled as so. So that's something I've found a lot of peace in, is I can do stuff and it's okay.
I'm still struggling with that one.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where the hustle culture comes in. I'm just like, I don't compute.
I have so many books on my bookshelf that I have purchased with adult money and have not opened because I'm like, oh, I really want to read this book. This looks so interesting. I would really resonate with this. But then it's like, I don't have the time for that.
I have 80 other real things to do. Like, it's easy to just like put it to the bottom of the totem pole because it's not as important as A, B, and C.
Yeah.
But do it. Read the books.
Paint the rock.
Paint the rock, guys. What boundaries have helped protect your energy?
The biggest one is putting a price on your peace. So how much is your peace worth to you and what are you willing to spend it on? As opposed to having monetary value, it's like, what is your energy worth? Like, what are you going to put your energy into that is worthwhile and going to fill it back up at the end of the day?
Ooh, fill it back up.
Fill your cup.
That's a great way to say that though. Like, are you going to put some energy into it and eventually it's going to feed you as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great.
So it stemmed from a shitty landlord that we had where like, I can't even remember what the issue was, but like I was just so fucking annoyed and I'm like, Charlie, the landlord said it. And we had been doing that for a while. Like we had been back and forth with him for a while. And I think it got to the point where Charlie was just like, I'm done. Like I can't waste more of my effort on this. But I'm like, I will fight to the death. Like, and he looked at me and was like, this is costing you your peace. And I was like, oh my God.
And you don't even realize it until it
No.
gets pointed out because you're
Yeah.
so fixated on it and you're so upset about it and you just let it empty your cup and then you realize, oh shit, this has drained so much of my happiness and my energy.
Yeah. Like, oh my God, I've been focusing so much on this that I've been missing like the birds chirping, the sun is out, like all of this stuff that could be filling my cup. And I am wasting my peace on somebody who doesn't care about anything other than getting the rent payment at the first of the month. And I used to very much be the person that like, I don't want to be in the same room as somebody whose energy I don't like or match or this and that. But it got to the point where it's like I'm thinking about that person in the room that I don't want there, and I'm not enjoying my time. So it's like, okay, no, invite the person. I don't care. I'm not spending my time and energy with them, but I'm going to be there and I'm going to enjoy it. And I'm not wasting my peace on that because I'm going to have a good night. And if they want to waste their peace, then let them. I guess it's not as valuable to them. Yeah. My other big boundary is that giving 100% of yourself at work, like giving 100% at work is not giving 100% of yourself. You should be allotting like maybe 60% max of yourself for work because you need yourself for you, for home, for your animals, for all of the other responsibilities in your life that are going on outside of those working hours. If you are giving 100% of yourself at work, then you've got nothing left at the end of the day. And it's also not going to be good for your employer because now you're showing up exhausted because you're trying to use all of your gas when you're actually going to get better mileage by toning it down a little bit.
And I think people have to understand that they can't really give 100% in every single aspect of your life. You do have to be able to separate it and be like, okay, for today, I'm going to give this percentage to work, this percentage to my relationship, this percentage to exercise. And I mean, each day can also be different, right? Sometimes your percentages waver, and it's just about making sure it feels like a good balance to you and something that you feel happy about at the end of the day.
Yeah. You can't pour from an empty cup.
No.
If someone says they're overwhelmed, overworked, emotionally drained, and running on caffeine and anxiety, people treat that as like a badge of honor. Like, oh, ha, 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 me too.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's not. It's something that has become too normalized, and we don't need to normalize being exhausted and over-caffeinated and overly anxious. Like, let people take the time and space to recharge.
We've talked about, I think a lot of this does come primarily from career burnout. And it's so hard because, as you've said, you can't just go to a different job tomorrow. Like, you're burnt out and now you have to look for something else to do and then go through the effort of doing interviews and working interviews.
Honestly, it is so hard doing a working interview when you're stressed or burned out to some capacity because you just have to be on and you have to be so pleasant and lively, but you're also like, I'm so fucking exhausted in my life right now.
What is a working interview? Is this something in vet med?
Yeah.
You've never had a working interview?
I'm like, what the fuck is that?
So you go and basically shadow / do the job. So it's like, I'm not doing the job. I'm doing like aspects of the job supervised. And because I don't know their protocols yet.
Yeah. It's also an opportunity for me to see the space. Like, I want to go see the layout of the clinic, see how they run day-to-day appointments, meet the team, interact with them, and see if it is a space that I feel like would be meant for me. Like, I've done working interviews before where I walk into the place and I'm like, nope, like, this is not it. I don't like the layout, or I don't like how I'm vibing with the team. So it's mutually beneficial, which is why I've never really had any qualms with it.
Fair. No, that's a really good point because you are interviewing the company as much as they're interviewing you. But yeah, no, I think people too often stay in jobs that they're burnt out in because they physically and like mentally cannot spend the extra effort finding something else. Like,
and starting over, like it's not always the grass is greener on the other side, so there's always that fear and risk associated with going somewhere where it's going to be worse. So sometimes you convince yourself, oh, it's not that bad, it could always be worse, maybe I'm just overthinking it, and then you just constantly play this cycle.
or the rejection that comes with not getting the next job. So you had that hope, and then it's like, fuck, I'm stuck here for how much longer?
Until
Like,
until I find somewhere else to apply to and have hope.
yep.
What would scare you more, staying miserable or having to start over?
Staying miserable. Yeah.
And I feel like it's a really obvious question. I don't know if anyone would pick stay miserable, but it's also hard because I feel like the generation above us was the kind of culture of you find a business and you stay there for the entirety of your career.
To the business.
Both of my parents said that. My mom worked for the same company for like 25 years. My dad is now like 30 years in or something at his company. Luckily, they found jobs that, you know, they felt supported in, and they felt like that was the right space for them. But I feel like when I first started talking about like, oh, I'm not happy, my parents would always be like, oh, well, you have to stay with them. Like, that's the company you work for. Like, the grass isn't always greener.
They've taught you X, Y, Z. Like, they took you from out of school. They gave you all your skills. You're like, no.
Yeah.
Everywhere else is going to be like that. So you might as well not even try.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people in that generation had that mindset, and then it kind of spilled over to us. But now we're in this generation of being like, no, like if I'm not happy here, I'm going to go somewhere else. And I'll learn my lesson. If I go somewhere and I hate it, that sucks. And then I'll start over again. But at least I went out and tried to find something that is a better fit for me, that makes me happier in my career. This is my 9-to-5 job. I go, I do it, I show up, I go home. Whereas me and a lot of people in our generation want to feel really happy in our jobs and be satisfied.
I think something we need to talk about that goes along with burnout, but specifically to people in the medical field, is compassion fatigue.
That is and I feel like we need to have more compassion for the people who are experiencing it, because that's why they're fucking tired. Like, they've been tired for so long because they are caring so hard for these people that they do genuinely care about, but it's such a thankless job.
And I think it's also when you're in that position and you're experiencing burnout, but you're saying, well, these people or these animals need to be taken care of. Who else is going to take care of them? I need to take care of them. Where sometimes it's, you've hit your limit, you need to step away, they will fill your position.
And
like,
that can lead to you not providing the best care that you could, right? You are potentially going to be providing worse care because you're burnt out and you're overworked. You've worked overtime 3 days in a row. You haven't had a break. Your brain is going to have lapses in judgment sometimes, whether it's a minor medication error, just the wrong move at the wrong time. That can be very serious. So you also need to understand that taking a step back could also be good for your patients.
yeah.
Everyone has like a moment here or there where they're like, I need to do something different. I'm going to go into a different field. Like, I could not imagine doing something different, doing something where I wasn't providing like a medical service or a compassionate care in some way, right? Like, I can't see myself doing anything else. So as much as we do have this tendency to burn ourselves out and get compassion fatigue, I really can't see myself doing anything else.
Yeah.
No, me neither.
Yeah, and moving from the topic of career burnout, I think people don't talk enough about how burnout affects your relationships too.
Yeah. Big time.
Big feels.
Confirmed.
Big
Well,
agree.
When one of you is burnt out, the other has to step up, and then that leads to the other burning out faster. Like, when I was at that point of being jobless, and like, I would wake up, I'd go on Indeed, and I would be applying for every job that I was,
That you could see.
yeah, literally.
And had like some inkling of, I might like this.
Yeah. Or like, I've got the qualifications, so like, at least I could get something. And like, Charlie was working so much overtime because we still had an apartment that we needed to pay for, and we still needed groceries and pet food and litter and this and that. And like, life is expensive. So then he's spending all of his extra time working, so no time to actually rest. He was exhausted. And it broke my heart seeing him like that because I felt responsible. Even though like I was doing everything that I could, like I was obsessively applying for jobs and it still wasn't enough. And like it did bring us closer together, but there was so much pain in that period of time because my ego was hurt by just like not like rejection after rejection. And then I'm also just like driving my partner into exhaustion while he's also doing a job that leads to burnout to begin with.
But also to a certain degree, when you have a life partner, there are going to be ebbs and flows in your life. And there is going to be times when someone has to show up 70% because the other person can only show up 30%.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to hear that you guys were able to get through it and grow together, because that is a very challenging period when like you're not working, not able to find a job, and emotionally broke down from that. That's a really hard stage for both of you to go through.
Yeah.
But I think it can get really scary as well because in a relationship, when you're burnt out, you have nothing to give, and this other person is trying to have that compassion for you and take care of you, and like you said, like taking care of the bills. And then at some point, I'm sure there's a little bit of resentment, like that can build too, and that's fatigue in the relationship, and then the relationship is strained.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
For Ty and I think the hardest stages in our relationship has been when I was having career stress approaching burnout, because I would go to work and I would come home and like kind of be a raging bitch. Like I would just come home and I would just spew out all of these complaints I had with my coworkers, with how a case was handled, with all these things. Like I just walk in and I just like bombard him with negative energy. And that was day after day. And you know, he tries to absorb that and talk through it. And, you know, we tried to discuss it, but it did get to a point where he was like, you're miserable. And then it's making you miserable outside of work, and you don't have that work-life balance. You're not able to separate it, and it's bleeding into our day-to-day life. And that was really humbling to hear, because I was like, holy fuck. And you take a step back and you realize like, yeah, this is not how I want to be living my life. I don't want to just be putting that all onto him and making him miserable too. I should be happy and then he can be happy. So getting through that and then realizing I'm such a better person when I'm happier and not in that state of stress and potential burnout.
Yeah. Yeah. No, seeing your partner upset is upsetting.
So yeah, stress and burnout affects the fuck out of your relationships.
What about friendships? Like, I guess we all have partners, so it's hard to say, but I know like I like to just touch base with a few friends every like couple of weeks. Just be like, hey, how was school? How was life? How was work? And I think a lot of times an automatic answer is, it's good. I'm a little stressed, but all good. And that's all you get. Where you're like, I'm asking because I want you to have like to know somebody is here, but then also asking for support, I'm sure is really difficult as a friend.
Big time.
Because then like we've been saying, you're trying to get them to fill your cup, or you're trying to get energy from something else and somebody else. And you're like, oh, I'm sure you have a lot going on in your own life, so I don't want to put this on you. That's a really big one that I think a lot of people say automatically. But I think you have to allow your friend to say when they're kind of getting to that tipping point, because if they're asking you how you're doing, typically they want to know the truth, and they're actually checking on you because they're worried.
And I think it depends what side you fall on. Like if you're on the side of you are within stress and burnout at the time, I think your friendships tend to lapse kind of in the way that your relationship does, where you're not spending quality time with your friends. You don't want to make the energy to go out because, like you said, you're conserving all of your energy on the weekends because you're so drained and burned out from your work week. So you're like, I don't have the energy to go out for a hike with my friend. I don't want to go out for drinks. I want to sit in this bed and I want to rot. So you get this like weekend paralysis where you don't do anything. So I think that's a huge part of when you're in burnout and how friendships look to you at that point.
Well, and I think also like when you're in friendships where that is a mutual understanding, it's a lot easier to navigate and to move through it. Even if you have that sense of like, I don't want to burden my friend who is also going through it with my shit. But from the other side of it, there are friends that have higher expectations that might not be realistic to meet when you're in the midst of burnout. Like there were such high expectations in this one friendship that I had that was like expecting that I could plan an outing when she is constantly planning outings, and like expecting that I would borrow the car to drive us somewhere when she was usually just offering to drive, and then coming back and being like, well, I plan all of these things and you don't do that. And so you're clearly not as good of a friend or not willing to put in as much energy as I am.
But you guys just didn't see eye to eye on what the friendship was. I think her
Yeah.
expectations were so much higher for what the friendship needed to be. She was someone who wanted to be going out and doing things all of the time, and she couldn't give grace to the people who were like, I need a weekend. I need a reset. I'm not a big planner, not my specialty. Like there was
Yeah.
no understanding of that. So yeah, that friendship isn't going to succeed because you don't have the understanding of what the expectations in the friendship are.
Yeah. Like meeting someone where they're at isn't being the exact same kind of friend that they are. Like you can't fill somebody else's shoes and expect that you're both going to walk. Like,
Wow.
Damn.
Wow. Biggest takeaway is that stress and burnout affects you in every facet of your life. It's yourself, it's your friends, your family, your partner. It can have such a huge impact on every single thing. So it's important for you to understand when you're starting to be stressed and burned out. I think it's important to have grace for yourself to a certain degree, but also if you are physically in burnout and you're a shell of a person, you have to start branching out and trying to figure out ways to get yourself out of that, whether that is looking for another job, whether that's saying to your friends, holy fuck, I'm so burnt out. Like I need some help. I need some support right now. Reaching out to your family to be like, hey, how would you guys be able to support me through this? It kind of sometimes takes a community to get yourself out of that. And you can use that community and ask for help and ask for support because you're clearly struggling. If you're in burnout, you are struggling. So use your community, use the people you have, and do what you can to get yourself out of that so you can be that person for your friends and family again.
So balance sounds great in theory, but realistically, I don't know if anyone fully has it figured out.
Not me, that's for fucking sure.
no.
And it's so funny because like so much I talk about in the podcast and in my like real life is how important balance is. And then I'm like, but I don't do it.
It's so easy to preach.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah, to
Practicing
know
sucks.
to know that we know what we should be doing, but do we do it? No, we're on the same train as you.
And I think balance within your work is important. I think you need to understand that you can't stay late every day. You can't work every single Saturday that needs coverage. Like you need to be able to set your own boundaries within your hours. If you are scheduled 40 hours a week, do not force yourself to work 50 hours every week. Balance is about work and life. You need to go home and live your life as well.
Yeah, to really have an outlook of, okay, if I don't do this right now, how is it going to impact me in the future? Or can I do this tomorrow? Can I do this another time? Is this absolutely 100% needed now? Or if I don't leave right now, then when am I going leave.
Like, have the water cooler talk. Like, take time and talk to your coworkers. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to be plugging away every second of the day. Like, you can take time just to like check in with other people about things that are not related to work.
And something I've learned with working for such a small company where there's only there's less than 5 of us at this clinic, the relationships you build with these people are so important, and it makes a huge difference of how happy you are at your job. When you have someone who takes the effort to ask how you're doing, and be like, oh yeah, you told me last week you were going paddleboarding. How was that? Like, they're actually listening and taking a genuine interest. That is really nice. And I think it's about doing it to other people, hoping you'll also get that in return. You can give out what you want back. And so I try to make an effort to be like, I'm going to go pick up Starbucks for the girls today before I come to work. Oh, my coworker made us cinnamon buns the other day.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And so I think because all of us give, we all get to take as well. And that's such a mutually beneficial work culture to be in.
So what does balance look like to you now?
Slowing down. Like, if you have 10 things on your to-do list, you don't need to rush through each and every one of them. Prioritize them and then take your time doing them to the quality that you would want to have them done. Like, just because you're expected to do these things doesn't mean that it has to be done instantly. And when you slow it down and you can actually take that time to breathe while you're doing it, you're going to have way better results than if you're just trying to crush out every item on that list.
That's a great piece of advice, because I know I do that, especially when it comes to the home. I want to get this done, this done, this done. I want this piece of decor, this piece of decor. And A, it's just financially non doable. B, it doesn't need to be done all at once. And then it also goes into the work life of, I want to do this, this, and this, but it's okay. You have however many years left in your career. You can relax for 2 seconds and take the time. Maybe this year I do more stuff with my partner and just for fun, instead of doing a course after course after course after course. There's so many goals you want to hit, and you want to hit them all at once, but it really is just take your time to get there.
And also take some time to reflect. Look back on the past 2-3 years and be like, okay, what have I put my time and energy into? Has it been my career? Has it been the house? Has it been my partner? And then try to be like, okay, I've, put so much of my time into getting this certification for work this year. Now I want to focus on maybe traveling with my partner and building that, because we haven't had the opportunity.
We're such a culture of immediate gratification that everything has to be now. No, I'm not going to enjoy it as much in a week.
What does a healthier version of success look like for you now?
Having time for the things that I want to be doing. I'm preparing a vegetable garden because I want to grow my own vegetables.
And redefining what success looks like to you. I think success became so associated with your career and where you take that, but success can mean so many other things. It can mean a veggie garden. It could mean a husband that listens to you when you say you want the gardens bricked out and he does it. That's success to me. I have a loving partner who wants to put time into something that I wanted for the home, right? Success can look like so many different things in so many different ways.
Another thing that I have really started doing, and you had brought it up previously, of giving your piece and also your time is valuable. Yeah, a lot of people are like, oh, this costs this much. This is this many hours of me working. And instead now I am like, my time to me is so valuable. So if something that's taking up too much time, or if there's a slow day at work and can go home early, then I want to go home early. I'm wasting my time being here when I can put that time into something else at home, or my rest at home, getting my peace at home. It's a lot of, this is where I want my time to go. And if I'm doing something that is a waste of my time, then I get upset. I want my time, every little piece of my time, to be something that I enjoy or that is, again, coming back to me.
Yeah.
I think we also need to like not feel so guilty about things like leaving work early when it's dead slow. Like you don't need to feel bad about that. I think sometimes that gets associated with guilt, but yeah, go home so you can get your workout in. You can start dinner earlier. You can make some cinnamon buns, you know? It's really nice outside.
I'm going to go touch the grass.
Honestly, I had a moment like that at work last week where I felt like I was having so much screen time between work. I was doing a lot of admin things, and then between like podcast script, social media, like I just felt like I was always on my phone, and it was every opportunity. I was like my lunch breaks, or if I'm up early and this and that. And of course I know that my time has to be put into that right now. I'm not upset about it, but I was also just upset that I'm like, I need to touch some fucking grass. And it was a beautiful day. I had a half-hour lunch break. I went out, got my protein latte, and just sat in the grass, didn't touch my phone, just put it away and sat there in the sun. And it was like such a recharging moment.
Yeah.
So go out and touch grass, people, because you just sometimes need that moment to like step away and just recenter yourself.
Maybe balance isn't about perfectly managing everything all the time. Maybe it's just about learning when to push yourself and when to give yourself permission to rest.
I can't actually snap. When people do this, it's the sound effect in my head every time. Tell me I'm wrong.
I'm never going to see it differently.
Welcome to your new vocal stim. So if you've been feeling exhausted lately, whether it's mentally, emotionally, physically, or all the above, this is your reminder that you don't have to constantly run yourself into the ground to prove you're hardworking or successful. Rest is productive too. So thank you so much to our guest, Emily, for joining us today and being so open with us. And thank you, Peaches, for listening to another episode of Growing Into It. If this episode resonated with you, feel free to share it with someone who might need to hear it too.
All right, guys, you know what to do. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Growing Into It Pod, and rate and review this episode on Spotify.
Peace out, Peaches.
Mwah.
Me, 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 me.